Greetings and salutations to you all. Thank you for coming back to join us for another episode of the No Scripts podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Keir Scott, here to bring you another amazing episode. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been tuning in so far. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notification. Thank you for joining the No Script community. Today I have a special guest joining us. I actually have two guests. It's a little bit different today. So I have two coaches, both from Baltimore. One's name is Craig Alexander. He's from Baltimore as well. He resides in Baltimore. He's from Baltimore as well. And I have another coach, which is his partner, Arnold Jolivet. I just want to make sure I got his name right. Coach AJ. They have a program called Coach Strong. They're both coaches, and they coach for the Calvert Hall College high school team. They'll be joining us here shortly. We'll be talking about a couple of different things. Talking about coaching, talking about their program, getting into the mind of coaching and what they do. And anybody who's looking out there to become a coach or get into that, hopefully I'll be able to ask the right questions to get you in the right route. And feel free to contact them directly. I'm going to get their social media and their contact. That way you can reach out to them directly and be a part of that program if you'd like to. We're going to be back shortly. Again, I thank you guys. Take care. See you in a moment. All right. Here we go. Gentlemen, how we doing today? Welcome to the No Scripts podcast.
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Well, great, man. Appreciate you for having us.
No problem at all. I thank you guys for coming to join us. I definitely appreciate it. One of the first questions I do like to ask all of my guests when they come on is, how have you guys been in the midst of COVID and everything going on? How are you guys? How is your family? How are you guys adjusting to the time?
Go ahead, Coach AJ. I'll let you go first.
Man, I'm really feeling blessed, man, to be honest with you, because, 2020, when I look back at it, was really a time to assess the things that are important to you in life. You really forced you to spend time with family, forced you to make adjustments, financially, health-wise. It really made you take a look at what, like I said before, the important things are in life, and just grateful that, my family is still intact. We had some challenges and things like that, but for the most part, everyone came out, in better shape, because of everything. And I'm just thankful and looking forward to a brand new year. And it was a year of adjustments, for sure, but it also made you grateful for the time and really made me more appreciative of life. When you saw the hundreds of thousands and millions of lives that were compromised and lost because of the pandemic, it really made you grateful for just your health. I was struck with coronavirus early before they even knew what coronavirus was.
Oh, wow.
When going through that, all you want is just to be healthy. The games didn't matter, money didn't matter. All that mattered was just trying to get healthy. And so I'm just grateful that, we made it through 2020 and looking forward to the new year.
Definitely. I want to say I'm glad you're healthy and you back to full health for sure. I can't even imagine the scare or what you must have felt going through that. Did you feel like you had some of those earlier symptoms that they say they had, like the loss of taste, loss of smell, those kind of things?
Yeah, but the crazy part, I didn't know it was Corona. Craig will tell you, I was like, first they told me I had the flu, then they told me I had bronchitis, then they told me I had pneumonia, then they were like, we don't know what you have.
Oh, wow.
And so, I was still trying to push through. We're taught to, suck it up and move forward. So I'm still working, still doing stuff, not even knowing that, what was going on. So, I did experience some of those symptoms. It was about a 3 or 4 week battle. But like I said before, I had no idea what it was I was dealing with. Didn't realize that until after the fact. So,
Wow.
I guess ignorance is bliss, but yeah.
He was walking up and down the sidelines with his towel and his little orange juice bottle. He looked real funny, but I just wanted to say that I want to thank God for getting us through 2020, and helping us see some type of daylight. Whereas with the coronavirus, because back when Coach AJ had it, we didn't know what it was. We were just still hanging around each other, still dapping each other up, still getting in huddles with each other. So we didn't really know what was going on. We just thought it was just a common cold or like the flu. So as far as my family goes, everybody's been healthy, blessed. We had the common colds and stuff like that. So now it's like when you get a common cold, everybody like, oh, I got the Rona.
Yep.
But we just got to take care of ourselves, man. And I didn't realize how busy I was until the coronavirus hit, because basically everything was stripped from me. So I didn't really know what to do at the time, because I was so used to constantly coming and going. And, this has really helped me appreciate my family more. And, it gave me more time to, spend with my family. And I was like, wow, I'm really missing out on a lot. But, I was like, that's what I chose to do when I chose to coach, because other people besides my family depend on me.
For sure. I think that's a big thing that we all take for granted. It's time, right? It's like
Yes.
spending time with our family, spending time with our loved ones. We make sure to prioritize so many different things, but sometimes we forget the most important thing, which is, spending that time with the family. So I think COVID, having to sit down for a moment, made us try to like recenter and try to rehash where we spend our time and splitting that time and prioritizing it properly. So I know for myself, I had a couple of family members who caught COVID, had passed away as well. So it was a little rough there. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you, man. But all in all, it's been a blessing. I still have my job. My finances are all right. I got a beautiful baby on the way, so.
Congrats.
This your first one?
This will be my first child. We're not sure what we're having yet. We're like 16 weeks in. I'm hoping it's a little girl.
A little girl? Oh my
Yeah, I'm hoping
God.
for a little beautiful girl. But we'll see. Whatever it comes, I'll
we
take it.
We can talk about that off the air.
That's a whole podcast right there, brother.
For sure.
How much time you got?
Man, we got all the time in the world, man, for sure. But yeah, it's just time to. I think COVID, if it taught us anything, it taught us to like prioritize. Don't take life for granted, and just go for what you want. Nothing is promised tomorrow. The next day, I mean, the saying was always tomorrow is not promised, but right now you're really seeing that. Like right now, if it's showing you anything, it's showing you, for the most part, tomorrow is not promised at all. So, are you guys both born and raised in Baltimore City?
Yes.
Okay. Talk a little bit about growing up in Baltimore in that time frame. Are you guys raised like in the 70s? Growing up in the 70s, I'm assuming?
70s, yes.
Greg was raised in the 70s. I grew up in the 80s.
Got you. I got you. Okay.
Oh man, growing up in the 70s. I mean, it's nothing like today. I can say that. Back in the 70s, our generation, we had more respect for each other. We had more respect for the police. Everything was kind of low key as far as, the stuff that's going on today. It was kind of low key. We didn't really witness it a lot, but, we did have some instances where we did see some type of racism and stuff like that. But for the most part, we stayed in our comfort zone, so to speak. We would go to different places and play basketball and stuff like that, because, being on the basketball court back then, I guess you can say as well as now, it was like a safe haven. So, everybody came together, for the common goal, just to play games and, get better, because we didn't have any trainers. So we had to train ourselves. To me, I wish that my kids could have grown up back in the 70s, where it was a little more, to me, a little more easier, because you had, how they say it takes a village to raise a kid.
Yep.
That's how it was back in the 70s for us. So
More community.
right.
More community driven. Okay.
Go ahead, Coach AJ.
Yeah, so man, we had for me it was great, because like Craig said, even though we were into video games weren't as evolved then than they are now. So we spent as much time or more out on the basketball court, out at the playground, going to the mall, really sharpening your people skills, and developing yourself as a person, because you were interacting with people every single day. It was no text messages, it was no FaceTime, it was no IG, all those things. I hate to sound like, the old guy, the back in my day type guy. But
Nah, I get what you mean, though.
but that's how it was. And we made friends very quickly. We could go to a court, Craig guy could go to a court, not know anybody at all. And just next thing you know, we got three other guys, we're playing, we're talking, we're dapping each other up. And the next thing you know, we exchanging numbers and we got friends, still people that we know to this day, So it was definitely a time where you had to, but you also had to grow up quickly. You had to, we both grew up, relatively middle class. We didn't have any idea about, we just thought, like our parents said, money grew on trees. We didn't lack for anything. And, we also, as soon as we could, wanted to get jobs so we could have our own money and not be dependent on our parents. As soon as we could drive, we wanted to drive, and just experience life. It was like we weren't really fearful of anything, because we weren't raised like that. We were just raised to enjoy life. We were very respectful of our parents. Like Craig said, it took a village. His mother would get on me just like mine would, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So, and then but basketball is kind of like the glue that our lives revolved around basketball. If it wasn't practice, it was going to the court. It was going to a game. It was either you're on your way to a game, or you coming from a game, or you talking about the game. It was just basketball was like that common denominator of all the people that were in our circle. Even the people who played other sports, they started out playing basketball too. And they may have gravitated to football or something else, but basketball was like something that we all could do, was inexpensive. If you had a ball, you were the man. If you had a ball, and if you had a hoop in your yard, we had a friend that had a hoop in his yard. He would get mad if we would come and beat him on his own hoop, and then want to kick us out. So, but and it didn't matter where. We didn't care where it was. If it was, East Baltimore, West Baltimore, we drive to Hagerstown, we drive to Virginia. It didn't matter if you had a game or somewhere we could go play, and we go to a court in Towson at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, be the first ones out there, and we literally be there till 5 or 6 o'clock. We might take a little break, but I mean, you talking about just all day, and nothing else mattered during that time. It was an escape.
Yeah, man, that sound like it. That sound like a incredible time. I feel like one of the key points I got from both of you guys was like the community aspect. I do feel like that's missing a lot now. Like it's kind of like we're at a point now where we just live wherever we live at, and our neighbors are almost like strangers. I mean, some of us do know our neighbors, but it's not the same. It's not like it was probably then when you could like leave your door unlocked at night. You have to worry about somebody coming into your house or doing anything
I'm
crazy
not
to
going
you.
that far.
I'm
Not
just
going
saying
that far.
it possibly could have been. I mean, maybe not in your household, but
We
in
still
other
in
households,
Baltimore, man.
possibly.
Still Baltimore.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like the community aspect has been taken away. Now, you guys both have children that are growing up right now.
Yes.
So, do you think it's easier for them now, or was it easier for you then, as far as growing up and going on to the next chapter, becoming young adults?
I would say it was easier for us, because with them, like Coach AJ said, they really don't have any social or people skills because they're so used to texting. They're so used to just being into the phone. Whereas back when we were little, we would go out the house and our parents wouldn't know where we were because they couldn't get in contact with us because there were no phones. So it's like, we went out more on a trust and honor system versus the kids now. Now we gotta track them through the phone. We call them through the phone to make sure that they're safe, all that type of stuff, because there's so much stuff that's going on out here in the world that I think it would have been easier for them to grow up back in our era versus your era.
Got you. Okay, for sure. So you guys are both coaches. When I think about a coach, I think about like a Greg Popovich. I think about a Phil Jackson. I think about a Doc Rivers, Coach Thomas from Georgetown that recently passed away. Not only do they influence the game of basketball and win championships for a school or a team, but they also build character for off of the court. What made you guys want to become coaches and take over that role of not just being a coach for a young individual, but helping them develop?
Well, for me, you find that when you become a parent, and if you played any kind of sports growing up, you want your kids to be involved in sports, right? Because of the life lessons and the things that are learned through athletics. And so my journey back into sports after I stopped playing was when my son started playing sports. And from the age of 2 or 3 years old, he's playing in these leagues, whether it be t-ball or basketball with the lower hoops and all this stuff. And for me, it's hard to sit on the sidelines to watch my child or some other children being coached or being people. And not saying that everybody has good intentions, because it's tough when you're getting people to volunteer their time. But I kept seeing all these coaches or people out, coaches, quote unquote coaches, or people out here that were trying to instruct their kids. And I only know one way to do it, right? And that's like all out. So you could be 2 or 3 years old and we going over to pick and roll, and we doing all that stuff. So it was tough for me to see these kids out here being taught, even though it's at a very elementary level, by someone who may not be as qualified, if I can help out. So it wasn't like I was going in and just taking over the whole situation. But normally, if I say something or give a technique or something, they'll be like, oh, they'll look and see like, oh, you know how to do this, do that. And I'm like, yeah, well, I used to do this, that, and the third. And the next thing you know, they're inviting you to help, and then next thing you know, you coaching. Like you're running practice if they're not there, and then next thing you know, you're coaching on the weekends. And so it just kind of evolved like that for me. And I've not gotten any greater joy out of coaching than being able to coach my own children. And see them, grow up in the game. But then as a coach, it's great when you're able to coach your own children. But then when with other kids, you treat them just like your children, and it's very hard to coach your own kids. It's very difficult because you don't want to be too hard on them. You don't want to be too soft on them, and then there's that awkward ride home after the games. When you coach somebody else's kids, their parents take them home, and you're done with it. But when you coach your own, then you have to separate it from coach and dad when you get home and in the house and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I got back. It kind of rekindled my passion for coaching, right? Because as a dad, and you'll find this out, that you're a coach, right? You're coaching your child through life, right? Mm-hmm. So, but coaching as far as basketball, it just came natural to me. And Craig and I were both blessed to have some really amazing coaches in our lives that made a serious impact on us. And you try to, sometimes when I say stuff to my players, I hear like the coaches that I've had in the past. Right. So the coaches I've had in the past, the good ones, I've learned from them. The bad ones, I've learned from them as well, what to do and what not to do. Right. So you kind of take a little bit of that, you add your own experience to it, and then it kind of makes, for that perfect little, gumbo, so to speak, that you can, pour out and share to your kids. But so that's kind of how, I got into it. And as you get into it, it kind of takes you to another level. And then my journey through coaching, Craig had already gotten into coaching at a higher level before I did. I was still, doing a lower level of coaching. So I would lean on him when he, when he was getting more experience and ask him questions, and he would share stuff with me, and I bounce ideas off of him. So we were looking at it from not only a player's eyes because we played the game, but also looking at it from now a coach's viewpoint, and then also looking at it from a parent's viewpoint, because it's tough sometimes if you're dealing with a coach that has never been a parent of a player, of somebody that's played, because they don't understand some of the nuances that are dealing with playing time and how to treat kids and what it's like to ride home with your son if he hadn't played in a game, or if he made a mistake and the coach has really just gotten on him and didn't really show him any love at first. So it's a lot of stuff that there's some blind spots that some coaches I think have if they've not experienced that. So fortunately, we've been blessed to be on all sides of that equation.
Well, I'll say how I got started, Chris, was that I've been that player where I've been a star. I've been that player where I was the middle of the pack. And I've been that player on a great team where I was at the end of the bench. So I said, you know what? When I get in, when I started coaching, I was like, I'm gonna try to appeal to all three of those guys because I've been there. So I know how it is. So, people would say, well, you can't play everybody. Yes, you can. You just have to find the time and insert them in a situation where they can succeed. And like Coach AJ said, when you have kids, you're coaching them anyway. So now people are starting to look at you because people are starting to look at you like, you know what you're doing, because a lot of the referees and a lot of the other coaches are people that we grew up with and people that we played against. So that's really how I got started, because different people would come up to my son and they, my sons, and they would say different things about me, positive of course, but they would say different things about me, and then my sons would look at me like, oh, I didn't know that you could play like that. I'm like, yeah. I said, I didn't come out as an adult. I came out as a kid and worked my way up just like you guys going to do. And then, then they started to listen and take heed to what I was saying. But, it's nothing like coaching your own. Yes, you're going to be tough on your own. You don't want to be, like Coach AJ said, you don't want to be that guy that's too soft on your kid. You don't want to be too hard on your kid, but then you have other people watching you to make sure that you're fair to their kid just as you would be to your own kids. So when I take on coaching, I treat everybody like they my own. I don't leave until the last kid is picked up. If we're out and we're ordering food, I'll look around and I'll see who's standing back, and I'm like, you good? They like, no, coach, I need a couple dollars. I'll go ahead and do that because I would want a coach to do that for my kid if he was in that situation.
Got you. Okay. I feel like coaching your child would be a little bit more difficult only because they're looking at you as dad and not coach. So the
Yep.
same thing that a coach might tell them, they're looking at you like, why would I listen to you? You're not like you dad, you're not coach. You know what I
And
mean? That kind of
it's,
that kind of
it's
mentality.
funny you say that because it's like I'll say something to my youngest and he'll listen, but he won't apply it. But then another coach will come and say the same exact thing, and then he'll look at me like, "Did you tell him to say that?" And I'm like, "No, what I'm telling you is facts." And then I always joke around with him. I'm like, "Son, I'm telling you stuff for your own good."
Hmm.
I said, "They pay me to do this. They pay me to coach. So obviously, I think I know just a little bit of what I'm doing because they pay me. If I didn't know anything, they wouldn't be paying me.
For
So
sure, for sure.
I'm like, come on, listen to me. I'm trying to help you get to where you want to be. I'm trying to help you achieve your goals, but you just got to listen to me." And then when I don't come to the games because I might have to work or something, or I might have a game myself, the coaches will be like, you know, he did exactly what you told him to do. I'm like, all right, well, fine. At least I know he listening.
Yeah, at least I know he's listening. That's what's up, man. So
Yep.
without, I don't want you to guys to be like boastful or nothing like that, but talk about a little bit of the accolades that you guys have accomplished so far in your coaching career.
Go ahead, AJ.
Well, for my coaching career, I mean, it's been great for me because you know, on the middle school level, you know, we were able to win championships at school at Sacred Heart, where they had never won. You know, in 20 plus years, we were going to there and really help build a strong program, you know, on that level. And then when we went into high school with a brand new coaching staff, you know, to be very transparent, it was tough, you know, at first because it was a brand new coaching staff that for replacing the coach that had been there for a while. They had a history of winning, but you know, really being able to bring kids together, you know, to work together. Kids who a lot of them were brand new as well. You know, is really move things forward as far as having a positive impact on the program, especially at the high school level. And so between that and then what we've been able to do just this past year on the AAU level, winning championships and several tournaments. It's been a great ride, and I look forward to being able to do more, as time goes on.
Well, for me, I'll start with the high school level. I started out at Loch Raven, and from Loch Raven, I was there 3 years because my middle son went to Loch Raven, so I was there to coach him. So to me, I didn't win anything there, but just to be there coaching him, that was a big accomplishment for me. So then after I left Loch Raven, then I went to Gerstel. That's a private school out in Westminster. And we built that program from the ground up. So in our third year there, we both, JV and varsity, we both won championships there. And in our fourth year, we repeated that. We repeated the championship. So I left Gerstel to go home to Calvert Hall with Coach AJ, orchestrating all of that. And then my first year there, I won the championship there. So in the past 3 years, I've won 3 chips, and my record is 54-6 in the past 3 years. This past year, we went 25-2. And then on the AAU level, I'm the assistant coach for my son's team. And it's like right now, in the past 2 months, we're 41-4 with 3 championships. So, I mean, right now we rolling. Even with COVID, we still rolling. We masking up, but we still rolling. So, yeah. I mean, first off, I would definitely, want to thank God for putting me in that situation to be successful at what I do, because, without him, there would be no me. So I definitely want to thank him for that. And then second, I wanted to thank Coach AJ for putting me in the proper situation to come back to Calvert Hall and coach, because we were talking about him, Coach AJ, coming out to Gerstel, and then he was like, look, man, you can come home and do what you're doing and win, and you're gonna feel, it's gonna feel more special to you because you're doing it where we played at. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then my next goal is hopefully to get my son up there, up to Calvert Hall, so he can play on the same floor that we played on, and hopefully he can experience the winning tradition that we experienced back when we were there.
Man, that's incredible, man. A lot of accolades here on this call. That's incredible, man. How was that transition from switching from one school to another and then winning that championship? Was it everything that Coach AJ said it would be as far as that feeling when winning the championship there?
And then some, because I mean, when I wanted that girl
Hey,
still,
Craig, he didn't believe me. He could,
huh?
no, I say Craig talks about it now. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah,
I can
you
hear you good
faded
now.
out for a minute.
Yeah, okay. He didn't believe me at first when we started initially talking about him coming to Calvert Hall. He was a little doubtful, and he had one foot on one side of the fence and one foot on the other. And so when he finally
Understood.
decided to make that jump, make that leap of faith, he was glad that he did, but he was a little shaky. But I knew with his experience and his knowledge and what he brought to the table, along with the tradition and what he had to work with, because I knew what the team that was that he was going to be inheriting, and I
Mhm.
knew that winning a championship was going to be the only option.
If I'm not gonna lie, I had one foot in, one foot out, because how do you leave somewhere that you just built and you have two chips and you the favorite to go back? So it was kind of tough. But
Mhm.
then Coach AJ started pulling on the strings to my heart. He was like, "Look, man, this is where we played. This is where we went to school for 4 years. Just come back and do what you do." And then, like I said, we went 25-2 this year. So I went and I talked to the AD, and I asked the AD, I said, "Was this the best JV team ever?" He was like, "Yeah, by far." He said, "Other teams have won it, but they never went 25-2. They never just had two losses." And he was like, "Yes, y'all were the best team ever." So it was that was bittersweet. I mean, that was like the icing on the cake for me to come back home, win the chip, and be the best team ever. So I was just so excited.
Man, that sounds like an incredible accolade. When it comes to coaching, right? One of the things I think about is the programs usually, and maybe I'm wrong when it comes to like varsity and junior varsity level, but I usually feel like it's a what have you done for me lately kind of vibe. So you can win a championship, I feel like, and if you don't win 2 or 3 years down the line, man, your job could be in jeopardy. You're like the face of the team. Do you guys feel like a job when it comes to coaching is expendable?
Well, I'm gonna say this. Everybody puts a lot of pressure on the coaches to win. But my thing is, if you are a teacher of the game and you're a student of the game, the winning part is just gonna come. Because if I can teach you the game the right way and you're doing it the right way, the winning that's the easy part.
Mm,
So as far as job security goes, to me, it all depends on the type of AD that you have. If you have an AD that's all about win, 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 then yeah, your job could be in jeopardy if you're not winning chips. But if you're developing kids and moving them on to the next level, whether it's to varsity or to college, if you're developing the kids in the right way, then your job shouldn't be in jeopardy because you're doing everything that you're supposed to do as a coach.
Yeah, I see it the same way. Because really the whole job of a coach is the building of men and the building of women, right? So winning goes way beyond one wins and losses, right? So if you're not, you can win games, you can win championships, but are you really having an impact on the lives of the kids that you're coaching and interacting with, right? It's nothing better than seeing a kid that you coached 4 years, 5 years ago, and they, coming up to you, give you a hug, say, Coach, good to see you. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Because you pushed me, you got on me. Most of the kids that come back and say those things to you, the ones you got on the most, and held them accountable for what they did and what they didn't do. So it's nothing better than that. To me, that far, goes beyond any type of championships. It's all about the relationships. Championships are great, don't get me wrong, but the relationships that you have and the lifelong bonds that you have. Like if you ask somebody, what was your team record, in such and such year, you might not necessarily remember the record, but you remember the relationships, you remember the locker room battles and the things you went through, being in the trenches with those people. You remember that kind of stuff. So championship trophies are great, rings are great, all that stuff is great. But the memories and the people that you encounter and build those lifelong ties with, you carry those with you for the rest of your life.
Just let me touch on that real quick. Um, every Christmas, every holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, I get a text from maybe 3 or 4 guys that I've coached in the past. And that means more to me than championships, because they'll tell me, they'll be like, Coach, you were preparing me for, whatever if they're on varsity, you prepared me for varsity, you prepared me for college. And it's like an extension of my family, because, they'll reach out to me and they'll be like, thank you, and stuff like that. And that makes me feel good, because I know that as a coach, I'm doing my job.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah, that's incredible. I never even, like I said, I look at it like it's bigger than basketball. It's like what you prepare them for off of the court, as far as like character and being put in certain situations. It might be a kid that's great at basketball, but his character just isn't great, right? He doesn't pass the ball. He want to shoot the last shot, show off. And it's like, how do you build that and build that team chemistry into the game? So before you guys got into coaching, up until now, did you feel like
Sir.
you would
Yes, sir.
have that same effect as far as what you feel for the players and that affection and what you get off of the court?
Well, when I started coaching, my goal was to, like I said, I wanted to reach every kid. And, my thing was, I was like, I want to make sure that I build a separate relationship with each kid on the team, so that for those that don't move on after their year with me, at least, I have prepared them for the big game, which is the game of life. So, I want to say, I've been coaching over 20 years now, and I'll say it was only one kid that, to this day, he and I just didn't click. Just one. So to me, I still feel like I've been very successful,
Call them
because
out, Craig. Who is it?
no, I'm not gonna do that. Not gonna do that.
That's
But
gonna be clickbait. I'm making my clip for the episode. So if you want to do it, you can do it. We'll make it
no,
happen.
no, I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna do that. He know who he is. My thing is that, like I said, I feel like I've been successful, because out of all the kids that I've coached over my 20 years, if I only have a problem with just one, then I feel like I'm doing a good job. And I feel like what I'm teaching the kids is working, because, again, take away the championships, I still have a good rapport with each and every single kid that I've ever coached. And other than that one, nobody can say anything bad about me and really mean it, as far as
Mm,
coaching. So to
sure,
me,
sure.
that's success.
For sure, yeah, I definitely would say so. I mean, at the ratio of that is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, man. It sounds like you guys have a good amount of success from now, and I wish you guys much success moving forward. I do like
Appreciate
the merchandise that I see there, man. It's like Coach Strong. Talk little bit about that, the merchandise, and also like the program, what you guys are doing. Talk about how it got started. How did it manifest to where it's at?
Go ahead, Coach AJ. I'll let you talk first.
All right. So Coach Strong was really just birthed out of the conversations that we have every single day, you know. And Craig was, was turning into this guru where he was people were coming to him with all kind of questions about coaching. And even myself, I would call him the night before a game or the morning of a game and ask him about specific plays and things that he did in certain situations. And then next thing you know, he was, screenshotting me pictures of plays and then I would put that stuff to work and it would work. Like it was like working. And I was like, whoa, we wanted something. And then I would always make sure I gave him his credit. I call him back and be like, man, that play that you gave me, that worked. We scored twice off of that, at the last minute and all this other kind of stuff. And then so I told him, I said, man, I said, look, I said, with all these people coming to you asking for, advice and information, I said, we need to put this to work because then I was sharing the information that he was sharing with me with other people and then adding on to it from experiences that I had. And so I was like, what if we create a platform where we can, provide coaches, information to make them better, to be able to have a better reach, to help players. Because me as an individual coach, right, there's only but so much reach that I have, right? But, if Craig's a coach, he may have 1,000 kids he can reach. You may be a coach, you have 1,000 kids you reach. So we find that in us trying to develop the system, we can have a broader impact by working directly with coaches. We work with players as well, but working with coaches, if I work with a player, that's one player. But if I work with a coach and I'm pouring into a coach, then he goes and pours it into his network, then I have a greater coverage, right? So that's how Coach Strong was born, and it's kind of evolved and it's still evolving, as time goes on, to be able to work with coaches, work with kids, do clinics, all those kind of things, and so much stuff that we, have in store for 2021. The pandemic kind of, didn't stop us, but it made us readjust our focus and our business models, how we want to do things. But that's really how it was born, and continues to grow from there.
And our goal is to impact the lives of 1 million youth over the next 5 years through the Coach Strong vehicle, because we're going to train coaches, mentor coaches, as well as youth on the fundamentals of the game of basketball.
Oh wow, okay, that's pretty impressive. Now, so let me ask you another question. Y'all get these coaches that come and they want to be a part of the program. Now, what if you go against one of these coaches in the game? How are they not going to use that information that you gave them against you if y'all battle against each other? How does that work?
Well, it's kind of like, my father used to tell me, I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I know, right? So,
you.
so you can know the play that I'm about to run, right? You can know the play. I can tell you what the play is, but you still have to stop it, right? You still have to stop it. And for me, coaching is not an occupation, right? Coaching is a lifestyle, right? Coaching is what you do. Coaching not what you do, is who you are, right? I mean, it's to me, somebody calls someone a doctor, attorneys have, lawyers are called attorneys, but somebody calls you a coach. Like it's nothing, like when somebody says coach, if you hear one of our players call you coach, like it's nothing, it's no sweeter sound than that to me. You know what I mean? Then that title, you really have to take that seriously, because that means somebody is, if they're doing it properly, that means somebody is entrusting you. Like, so players are entrusting you with their future, with their high school career, with hopefully being able to play at the next level, right? Even if they're not, we want to have them a great high school career. Their parents are trusting you. We spend more time sometimes with our players than their own parents do,
Yeah, very
right?
true.
When you're in a season, you spend more time with your team than you do your own family. So to me, there's no higher honor than to be called a coach. And so, you can't take that lightly. And so that's why it's so important that, coaches are trained and mentored, taught the right way to do things, because to be honest with you, a lot of coaches are just doing it on the fly. and they're not
Mm.
not because they have any ill will or trying to do anything bad, but they just don't know any better. They don't know of resources out there to help them become better coaches. And so that's why we are so passionate about what it is that we do, because we know that a coach can make or break a kid. I've seen so many kids just heartbroken and messed up because of poor coaching and being treated the wrong way. And so it's bigger than just a game, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And you know how teachers, they have their classroom for the kids. So I always tell my kids, I'm like, the basketball court, this is my classroom. This is where I teach you how. This is where I teach you about the game and about the game of life. I teach you in between these lines. I teach you basketball and I teach you life lessons. And it's nothing sweeter when they graduate from high school and they come back as adults and they like, Coach, remember when you told me such and such? I applied it in my everyday life and it works. So I mean that right there is powerful. So that's why we figure if we can reach 1 million youth over the next 5 years, this thing will be very, very, very powerful to our youth, because we want to keep them off of the streets. We want them to have something positive to look forward to. And if they can develop their basketball, the love of the game, if they can develop that, then everything else is just sweeter, because now instead of them being in the gangs or doing the gang stuff, now they're doing something that they love. They playing basketball or they're teaching basketball. I mean, we want to be able to save our youth from the mean streets of the world, and that's our goal.
Man, that's honorable. That's incredible. So if somebody wanted to become involved, how do they get in contact with you guys? Is there like a website? Is there a telephone number? Give them the contact. Is there somebody that can reach out to you guys?
Yeah, the website is wearecoachstrong.com.
Okay.
Wearecoachstrong.com. And they can
Okay.
go there, and it has the merchandise, it has how we got started, it tells a little bit about our mission statement. I mean, anything that you're looking for is on that website.
Okay. I got you. Now, how far does this thing reach? Like, is it just in Baltimore? Does it go? Is it nationwide? How far is this thing reaching? Or how far are you planning on? How far is it planning on being reached globally?
Yeah, we definitely basketball is a global sport.
Hmm.
So we definitely want to have a global reach, and through the power of social media. So we're on IG at we are Coach Strong, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. But
Hmm.
we've gotten messages from people all over the country, from England, from Pakistan,
Wow.
from China, from all over, asking for help in reference to basketball. We've had players who reached out to us to ask help on drills and training. We've had coaches. We're just on talking with a coach in Oregon the other day about doing some things. So it's the reach is far and wide as far
That's
as the
incredible.
folks that we're looking to touch. And again, because of technology and because of social media and platforms such as Zoom and people just like yourself that are allowing us to be able to talk about this, we never know who we might reach. You never know who you
Sure.
might impact. And so, because of technology, we're able to have conversations with people on other ends of the world and give them instruction and drills and things that they can do. So it's not necessarily us being able to be, we don't necessarily have to be right there in those locations to have an impact. But we just want to get the message out to as many people as possible.
We also have former NBA players that's looking to invest with us because they like what we're doing. So it can reach any type of coach. So it doesn't just have to be your lower level coaches. I mean, hopefully the way we see it, we want this to grow from the lower level all the way up through the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because to be honest with you, Chris, coaching is coaching. It doesn't, I mean, whether it's NBA or whether it's college, high school, little league, coaching is coaching. It's all about relationships, on various levels, whether it's men's sports, women's sports, boys, girls, coaching is coaching. And so, we look to be able to, impact folks on all levels.
Yes.
For sure,
I
yeah.
forgot to tell you, we also have a couple colleges as well looking at us to for the Coach Strong name as well. So I mean, like Coach AJ said, we trying to be everywhere, everywhere.
Man, it's admirable for sure. I wish you guys much success. I'm gonna make sure when we shoot the video, we'll add the link and everything in there so that people can click on it and reach out to you guys directly if they want to be a part of the Coach Strong program and get involved in that. That's incredible, man. Much respect to you guys, man. That's awesome.
Appreciate
I
that.
can't wait. I can't wait to see how this thing grows, man. I feel like like you said, it can definitely be global and reach global. I can see it, especially with the logo and everything you guys got going on, man. I like that.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you having Coach Craig and myself on here, and we're excited about the work that you're doing, man, and providing a platform for people to share with the world what they're doing. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, it's no problem at all, man. Thank you guys for joining us, man. I do have another question. So I know that from when you guys were growing up until now, the game of basketball has changed. And one of the ways is the influence and amount of powers that players have, from players joining teams to make super teams to win NBA championships, all the way to now players like demanding trades and saying, I don't want to be on a team anymore because it doesn't have a winning atmosphere. Do you guys think that kind of takes away from the essence of the game of basketball?
Go ahead, AJ.
Um, you know, I think yes, to a certain extent, but those are very rare occasions. You know what I mean? Like the Hardens of the world, the KDs of the world, the LeBron James of the world. You're talking about a very small percentage of people, and you're talking about the elite of the elite. That are affecting that kind of change. But at the end of the day, whether you're trying to form a super team or whether you're a disgruntled player, at the end of the day, you still got to get out and play, right? There have been people that put together super teams that didn't win, and there have been some that have put together and were able to win, for a very short period of time. If you take a look at the history of basketball on all levels, it's the teams that were built organically, player by player, bit by bit, season after season, that had what they call sustainable growth and sustainable success, right? If you look at the San Antonio Spurs of the world or the old school Lakers of the world, Jerry West, who was the architect of all the championship teams, back in the day with bringing in, who was Kobe Bryant? Nobody. Kobe was, he was a high school phenom, but when
Mhm.
Kobe was drafted by Charlotte and Jerry West traded Vladi, there were people that were upset. They were mad. They were like, who is this kid? But
Mhm.
he put together that team. He added bits and pieces. There wasn't, and then he went out and got Shaq and added all these other players, Eddie Jones, all these different people. So, that's how your teams that win the 4 to 5 championships, put together. Look at the Bulls, the way those weren't, great superstars that were all come together. Those were all homegrown, organically grown. He brought some Ron Harper's in, Dennis Rodman, but those are teams that were organically grown, from the bottom up, where that culture, was instilled into those players. So that's where, you have your long-term success. So when you see that stuff happening, you might get a championship, just like the big three in Boston. They got one championship, right, out of that group. They were a little bit older, but they got one championship.
Mhm.
Even the Miami Heat, they
Mhm.
said not one, not two, not three, not four. Guess what? They got two championships, right? So, but if you look at the teams that have that long-term growth, it's you're taking some hits, you're taking it on the chin, you're losing some games, you're going up and down, you're up and down first season, second season, but once it starts clicking, then that's where the real coaching comes in, is being able to guide your team and your players through those ups and downs, and for folks not to get discouraged and buy into the vision. That's when you're really coaching.
Yes. Now, you said that the game had changed back
Mhm,
from when, when we were younger. Yes, it
mhm,
has, because back then we were big men oriented. Now the game is like phasing out the big man,
mhm.
or the big man has to step out and be able to shoot threes, because now instead of the slam dunk, we're glorifying 3-point shooters.
Mhm.
So the game has evolved into more or less a guard's game and a uh, a jump shot type game. But me personally, I still believe in the old school big man, because it's
Okay.
nothing like pounding them down in the paint and then you go inside to outside, not outside in. You go inside, pound them in the paint, and then you go outside, and then that opens up your three ball. And then when the team realizes they can't stop you inside or outside, that's when you see him fold. That's when you see him give up. And then that's where that's where you pretty much win the game at that point.
Mm, okay. Give us a little bit of coaching tips 101 right there. I like that, man. I like it. I'm
Can't
not
help
mad at
himself,
that.
Chris.
Yeah, I see that, man. It's oozing out of him, man. He can't help it, man.
It's in me, man. It's in me. It's in me.
So let me ask you. So if you guys were coach for the Houston Rockets right now, with everything going on, what would be your main priority as far as making it so the chemistry is together? Would it be getting rid of somebody like a James Harden, or would it be trying to build around them, or just seeing how the season goes? What would kind of be your mindset, you think?
Well, first, what I would do with Harden, I would have a heart to heart sit down with him, and I'll be like, look, if you don't want to be here, tell me you don't want to be here, and then we're gonna get you out of here. But I'm not gonna get rid of you for pennies on the dollar. It's not gonna happen, and I'm gonna let him know that right up front. It's not gonna happen. They gonna have to they gonna have to give up a lot to get you. So if they gonna give up a lot to get you, then we can trade you. If they not, then we're gonna have to make the best of this, because I want to win, you want to win. I'm not gonna give you up for pennies on the dollar. Not happening.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing because a player, especially one of his caliber, is going to be a cancer. And the relationship between the best player and the team and the coach is the most important relationship on the team. And if your best player is not your hardest working player and the player that buys in, you ain't gonna win nothing. You ain't gonna win. It doesn't matter what you do, you're not gonna win anything. And so, especially on that level, right? Because it's not just about playing time. You got the owners talking about they've spent, $40 million on a person and he's not
Yeah.
playing. You got sponsors, you got agents. So on that level, it's a lot different than if you're dealing with just college or high school. And so
Hmm.
if he can't buy in, then he got to buy out, right? And
Hmm.
so the new coach has to come in immediately and gain that respect by sticking to his guns and what the vision is that he has for the team. If the players get the sense that you don't have a vision, that you don't have a direction, or you don't have a place of where you want to go with the team, then you'll lose the locker room. And once you lost the locker room, you might as well pack your bags because there's no
Hmm.
coming back from that.
Damn, yeah, yeah. I kind of feel like I don't know if it's 100%, but from like the thing that you hear, I kind of feel like that's like the case with Doc Rivers, I guess, when Paul George was talking about, he had me trying to do pin downs and trying to work like Royale and then shoot outside on the catch and shoot. It's not really my game. And then you had Paul George and Harold having a little bit of a mix up in the locker room, again, from what you hear and different things like that. Special treatment, like Kawhi Leonard flying in and living all the way out, coming to practice late and different things like that. Like you said, when it comes to the point like that, and you have all these different mix up in the locker room, you see how it can affect the game from being up 3-0 or 3-1 and losing the series.
Yeah. Now I will say this: if if you're winning chips and you the star of the team, we might be able to do something. We can
Mm,
work around some of the stuff that you do, like they do with LeBron.
mm.
But if you're not winning chips, you're not gonna tell me what you're gonna do. We gonna debt that right now. You got to go. Because
Right.
James Harden, how many chips has he won? Zero.
Many yet, yeah, no, he on any chips yet.
Exactly. How many conference finals has he been to? One?
But one, I'm about to say one, right?
One. So he's good. He's a great player, but he's not in that demanding role yet because he hasn't done anything for me if I was an owner or or a coach.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
he would have to go.
And
He would have to buy in or go.
yeah, and specifically to what you're saying with playoff P is that one of the worst things you can have is a player who thinks he's the star, superstar, or best player, and they're not. And so that's the situation with playoff P, is that he thinks he is at a certain level that he isn't. And so, it was just a lot going on with that whole Doc Rivers situation. But once you compromise yourself, like Craig said, there's certain allowances that you can make, for the star players. Jimmy Johnson, when he asked him, he suspended one of the players. He was like third or fourth string running back because he was asleep in the meeting. And then they asked him, they said, well, what if that was Troy Aikman or Emmitt Smith or Michael Irvin? He said, well, if Troy, Emmett, or Michael were asleep in the meeting, I'd go over there and wake them up, right? So it's a difference in the type of treatment that you get for the players. But the key in that treatment is that those players perform on Sunday. So they make the coach look good, right? If you got a player who's not performing and is not doing the stuff that he needs to do, the intangibles, like, for me, I wasn't the superstar player like Coach Craig was, right? So I had to do the intangibles. I had to do the intangibles in order to get my time. I had to do the dirty stuff, the rebounding, diving for loose balls, setting the picks, and I had to do all those things in order for me to get my spot and to be able to, to progress and show that I belonged on the court, right? And so when you talk about the difference between the game today and back when we played is that, the fundamentals, people are more interested in Euro stepping and highlights for Sports Center. We didn't have Sports Center highlights, back then. We just wanted to make the bucket. I was coaching the other day in a game and we were down by 1 point with 8 seconds left to go. One of my players got the steal, had a wide open break. He wants to try to tomahawk dunk it and missed the dunk, and we lost the game, right?
Oh,
So what did you say?
Kind of things that you deal with,
Yeah,
So
how
what
do you
did
deal
you
with stuff
say?
like that? Yeah.
How do you deal with it?
No, what did you say?
I told you what I said. I said, why? Like, why? Why would you do that? All you had to do was just lay it in and we win the game. Why? That's all I can say is just why. And then you just leave before you say something crazy. but those are the things that you deal with as a coach and you learn. You don't too hard because those are teachable moments, right?
Yeah.
So I know that should that moment occur again, that won't happen, right? It's a
He's laying it
teachable
up.
moment in which hopefully they'll learn and you'll learn. And some things as a coach, you really have to overemphasize. Like you would think that it would not have to be said that if we got into this situation, this is what we do. But you can't assume that your players know everything. You gotta assume that they don't, because at least if you tell them, they be like, all right, coach, I got you. But the worst thing you can do, I've assumed things and then it didn't happen, and then you just and they're looking crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can imagine that. Have your guys ever been in a situation where you have a certain mindset with coaching, but maybe a player has changed their mind with something? Like, I thought I was going to do this thing, or I tell them to do something, they've done something different, it worked and was successful, and I added it to my game, or maybe I adjusted or changed up a couple of things from a situation or a play or any of the sort.
No.
I respect it. I just wanted to know and ask. Okay.
But I will say this though. There are certain times where a player will come to you and say what they see on the court or make a suggestion. And I think as a coach, you have to be open-minded to listen to them and consider it, right? But ultimately, of course, the decision is on you, because at the end of the day, the blame is going to come back at you, right? But I think you do have to be open-minded to say, hey, coach, I think we got this, we got that. So it has to be that communication between the coach and the player, because sometimes they see stuff on the court that we might not necessarily see, or they might, you know what I'm saying? So that's really, and again, kind of going back to what you talked about with the difference between now and back then is, I think back then we paid more attention to what was going on the court. Like right now, players, they just want to play, right? But we would watch and say, okay, I see this guy likes to go left. And we call it out. He can only go left. Or we, force him into do something that was his weakness. Whereas, so that's kind of like the mental part of it, right? If I know a guy likes to go left, I'm gonna force him right. If I know a guy can't shoot, I'm not going to, I'm gonna lay off of him so he'll shoot instead of trying to play on him where he'll drive around me. So it's all those different things that you have to take into consideration instead of just, it's more than just going out and just playing, right? It's the mental part to me is more important than the physical part.
Now, I know that I said no, but what Coach AJ, he brought up a good point. I trust my captains to come to me and say, Coach, this is what we see. Can we try this? And we'll bounce stuff off of each other. My assistant coach and the captains will bounce stuff off of each other, but ultimately, like Coach AJ said, the final decision comes down to the coach, because the coach takes the blame and the coach gets the success. And even when we win, I tell everybody, hey, that's not me, that's them. They played the game. I'm not scoring the baskets, it's them. So, I'm quick to give them the success, but I'm also quick to take the blame when we lose.
Yeah, I think that comes with leadership and comes with coaching. Like, you got to be able to take the blame first. I feel like a lot of great coaches do that. I've seen Doc Rivers do that a lot of times. So he's like, hey, listen, it's on me. If we win, it's on the team, but if we lose, it's on me. I came with the plays. I deciphered what we were going to do. It didn't work. So it comes down to me. So I definitely respect that. That comes with great leadership, like you said. Yep. So I know that we talked about previously some of the things you guys done as far as the accolades up until now. Talk about some of the future plans and what you guys want to do. Where do you guys see yourself as far as maybe 5 years from now when it comes to coaching, where you may be, what you want to do, some of the things you want to accomplish?
Well, hopefully 5 years from now, I'll be fully invested in Coach Strong. So, but if for some unknown reason that takes a little longer, I would like to, I would like to be in college. I would like to coach at the college level. That's one of my goals, is to coach at the college level. Basically, I just want to stay connected to the game, because that is my passion. So, as long as I'm connected to the game in some form or fashion, I'm fine.
Nice.
Yeah, so really want to just continue to grow the Coach Strong movement, continue to build it up, impact more lives, and really just develop that. It's in its infancy stage now, and just like anything, when something is in its infancy stage, it requires a lot more care, a lot more attention. So you're about to find that out, Chris, in a few months. So that's really the main goal right now, the main focus. We'll see what other opportunities arrive, individually as far as coaching, and definitely open to all that may come. But I think that, by us perfecting what we're doing right now, what we have our hands on, that a lot of other doors that will be opening up that we aren't even aware of right now.
Definitely, man. I believe so. Like I said, from the talks that we had, as far as everything you guys have done up until now, I can see it being a solid foundation. I can see Coach Strong being a household name. Coaches walking around with the gear and emphasizing and utilizing what you guys are teaching, for sure. I mean, it sounds incredible. Again, I'm excited to see where you guys go. I'll make sure to keep in touch. I'm gonna get a Coach Strong shirt from Craig. I'll make sure he gies me I'm a size large. I'll make sure we get something over here. The same color. I need that same one.
Extra medium. Get your extra medium, Chris.
I'm gaining a little bit of dad weight over here, man. So I need a large now, man. I need a large, man. No, that's it. Go ahead. What you want to say, Craig?
No, I was saying, okay, no problem. Just make sure I get No Scripts podcast.
I got you, man. I'm gonna hook you up with a hoodie, a shirt, whichever color you like. Just let me know. You know what I mean? For sure.
All right, appreciate that.
Thank
All
you,
right,
man.
all right.
I appreciate you guys for coming out. It's been an incredible conversation. For anybody who wants to reach out to you guys directly, give me your social media so they can get in contact with you guys as well.
Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, so they can reach us on IG at We Are Coach Strong, as well as on Facebook at Coach Strong, and then we're also on Twitter at We Are Coach Strong. And then again, as Craig said, our website is wearecoachstrong.com.
We are Coach Strong. I like it. Anything else you guys? Okay. You guys want to give them like personal stuff? Where I said we are Coach Strong. We good?
Good.
We are Coach Strong. Reach out to them directly there, man. For any
Craig's cell
information.
number is no.
Text him at any hour late at night. Don't matter, man. No, man, I thank you guys, man. If you guys aren't subscribed, it's your first time listening, feel free to hit the subscribe button and the bell there for more notification. I thank you guys for being a part of the No Scripts podcast community. Until next episode, I thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks
All
for
right,
having
brother. Be blessed.
Sure.
Continue what you're doing, man. And good luck with your baby coming up.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for sure, man. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right.